everybody's doing great today? Woo! All right, spring has sprung, it's a new beginning. We're all here, gathered up for accomplishing a lot this weekend. You know, we want to really focus our vegan activism and convince the world to join us. And I think once people try pancakes, they can go vegan, right? So it's like, what? You don't just eat lettuce? You don't just eat iceberg lettuce? You have, wow. So, so we have really great food. We've had some deliveries of veganic produce here that were supposed to come from Freckled Sunlight Farms. Part of what we're doing here today is like we want to veganize the world, and you know, it actually starts with the seed, how our food is grown right from the start. I mean, even with our highest quality food, our highest standard, which is organic, well, there are complications. There's actually something that would be better than organic, that would be vegan organic, or veganic. So we're hoping that that will be the way of the future in agriculture. And so to talk about that, and, oh, and by the way, I should mention that in Southern California, you are very lucky. You can have veganic produce delivered right to your home in Southern California. There's it's SoCalCSA.com, SoCalCSA.com, and you can have veganic produce delivered to you wherever you are in Southern California, which is above organic, and we will find out why, as our friend ARLO TOEWS will tell us. He is a veganic farmer, and he's a pioneer in the vegan grocery business, and he has some new exciting projects that he's doing. But it would be great if we can encourage veganic. You know, we're vegans, and we would like things to be vegan right from the start. So let's hear about what vegan organic agriculture is and why we would like it to be that way. So please welcome ARLO TOEWS.
Thanks, Bob. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. So Bob bribed you all with food to come here and listen to me talk, I guess. I know a lot of people don't know what veganics are yet, so that's kind of what I'm going to focus on first, just defining what veganic agriculture is. Everybody's familiar with organic. However, a lot of organic agriculture we use, people are using manures and blood meal and bone meal, ground up factory farm chicks, all kinds of things that us as vegans we wouldn't really want to see in our, or wouldn't want to be a part of, wouldn't want to see in our soil and whatnot. So in veganics, it's organic agriculture where we remove the animal element. We don't take, we don't use manures, no blood meal, no, like I mentioned before, no bone meal. And people might ask, well, why wouldn't you want to use the manures, the waste from the factory farms and all this and whatnot? Because that has nitrogen in it. And I guess a lot of the answers to that are, and obviously we don't want to be a part of the animal system using the animals, but we also, when you're using those manures, just like conventional growing, a lot of that washes into our waterways. It's polluting our oceans, polluting our rivers, and all that stuff. And not exactly where to go with this exactly, but we have anybody that knows me knows that I talk a lot, but I don't talk publicly, so this is kind of a very new thing for me. But I talked to some years ago, I had a little farm in another country, and I talked to a was talking to an orange farmer who had a farm up in Bakersfield, and he said something to me that got me thinking, and it took me a couple of years to come up with an answer to this. He said that he used synthetic fertilizer, threw a little bit at the base of the tree for his oranges, and that would give the nutrients that the trees need to grow and give everybody what they need, give the trees what they need, and well, then he said if you used organic manures to do the same thing, then you would have to pile a meter of manure at the base of every tree to get the same result. And for a long time that kind of baffled me. I was like, oh, what's the answer there? And that's when I started discovering veganics a little bit more. And I realized, well, really neither is the answer. We need to manage our soil appropriately. Our soil is a living, breathing organism. There's, nematodes, protozoa, mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza, it's like a little army in our soil, let's say. And that little army, one is they produce nitrogen and other things that the plants need to use to grow. And that little army also brings that to the roots of plants. So I got to thinking about this, what he was saying about the synthetics and the organics, and I was going, okay, well, you dump all this on there, 50% of that gets washed into our waterways, goes away. And when I looked into it a little bit deeper, I realized you don't need all that. You don't need so much nitrogen at the base of your plants. What you need is you need that army of little critters in the soil bringing it to the roots of the plants, creating that and bringing it to the roots of the plants. And so that's what we're doing in veganic agriculture. We're building soil. And a lot of people think of soil as just a medium that holds up a plant, but it's actually a living organism. And nitrogen, growing the right crops, is drawn from the atmosphere. 70% of nitrogen is actually in the atmosphere and is drawn down into to where the plant needs it at the roots, and then absorbed by the plant, so it can grow and do everything it needs to do. I ran across something that was really interesting too. This is kind of new information for me. But if we're using manures, a lot of farmers are adding parasiticides to the feed that they feed the animals. Those parasiticides, they actually kill off the beneficial bacteria once that animal, you take that animal manure, you put it on your organic farm, it's actually killing off that biological processes within the soil. So we lose that process that way. There's also elements within the soil that that keep the nitrogen there. So when it rains, it doesn't just get washed away. Like in organic agriculture, we put a bunch of manure there, and there's nothing holding it. It's not brought to the roots. That kills off that biological process. It kills that little army that I'm talking about. It kills that off, and it gets and then the nitrogen that they do add there runs off, and then they have to just add it again next year. It's polluting our oceans. I read somewhere that our oceans are supposed to be dead by 2048. That blows me away. That's the same year my son will be old enough to run for president. So we're starting this campaign now. In that soil, what I was talking about, that soil, just to kind of put this into perspective, how much biology is in there. We have 50 billion different microbes in 1 tablespoon of soil. And we're killing that. We're depleting it, even in organic farming. So the answer is organic farming. Not using chemical fertilizers, not using manures, and not using the chemical controls that we use, obviously, in our regular conventional way of growing. And so that we can promote that biological process, promote those mites and nematodes and protozoa, and increase aeration in the soil. Also let the mycorrhiza, which is a fungus, bring that nutrients to the roots of the plants. I hope that kind of gives everybody an understanding about what veganics is. I can answer any questions if anybody has any. I'd also like to mention, though, that I have a couple other things I'm working on. Some of you probably know, but I launched a website yesterday. It's totally separate from Veganics. I'm shifting gears here. It's veganstarter.org. It's the, as far as I know, I haven't found any other one. It's the first all-vegan social funding website. That's live as of yesterday. I'm working the bugs out of it. It might take me a little while, but it's up. So if anybody has any brilliant vegan ideas, post them up there. Get funded. Veganstarter.org. And
Talk to Whole Soy.
what was that?
Talk to Whole Soy. Whole Soy announced yesterday that it's going out of business for lack of funding. So we're not going to have our organic yogurt.
Oh no, that's horrible. Okay, so I will. I'll contact them, let them know it's there. Another thing that I'm launching. Some of you might know me. I own half of the Viva La Vegan grocery stores. I'm 50% owner in those. I'm not active in those stores, but I do own 50% of them. Viva La Vegan Grocery. There's two. There's one in Santa Monica and one out in Rancho Cucamonga. And I'm starting another chain of stores. It's 269 Vegan. 269 Vegan ethical food stores. And with 269 Vegan, I'm looking to go, I know this sounds odd, but I'm looking to go beyond vegan. I'm actually looking to take the highest ethical stand on the products that I carry and also the way that I run the company. Eliminating things, and there's like an example of this, aluminum. A lot of people don't look into the different packaging in a lot of products. And I did some research into aluminum. 5% of electricity in the world is used for producing aluminum. There's something called, if I got it right, it's called red sludge. It's a byproduct of aluminum production. I think they call it the smelting process. I don't know a whole lot about aluminum other than this, but it's getting into the waterways and it's affecting indigenous people and other non-human animals, killing a lot of non-human animals and people. So with 269 Vegan, because you have beverages both in a can, you have beverages in glass, I won't be carrying beverages in a can. That's the kind of ethics that I'm looking forward to having. And I'm also partnered with Alan Herndon and Speckled Sunlight Farms, which is a veganic farm. And we'll be producing, they're already growing veganic vegetables. We already have veganic oranges and grapefruits and all that. And so once the store opens this summer, we'll have veganic produce in it. Yeah, sure. I'd go for it, yeah.
Okay. So first of all, I do have the bill just Whole Soy contact.
Awesome, sweet.
And that's the phone number and his email, so I do that.
Oh, thank you.
And now, my other question
Right.
for you is for veganics, what is your ultimate goal? Is your ultimate goal to see like the label certified vegan on products? What is the ultimate goal and what is the ultimate bigger picture for veganics? That's the first question I have. And the second question I have is for your vegan starter. What is your criteria for people to get funded? And do you have that type of process already set up? Can you tell us? The third one is for 269 Vegan. Tell us what motivated you to go from your Viva La Vegan to start at 269. What is your big ultimate goal?
Okay. Help me out. What was the first question again here?
The first question was for
Veganics. Okay. Where we want to see that go? Absolutely. We need a certifying agency. I think there is a farm. There's very few veganic farms out there, by the way. There's only a couple of them here in Southern California, and a few months ago there was really none. They're really a new thing. There's one up in Sacramento, also Weimar Farms, and then there's another farm called Sunazona out in Arizona, and they really are kind of on the front of the veganic agriculture. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have been working towards creating a veganic certifying entity. That is the ultimate goal, is to have, just like we have organic certification, having veganic certification. It really is necessary as we get more farms. Right now, there's so few farms, then that certification, it would kind of not make sense to have it.
Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
because there's the vegan organic research business, so would it be a separate certification from what they have? Because they do have a certification in place.
Oh, holy, I didn't know this. It's news to me.
The Vegan Organic Network, they're run out of the UK, and
Oh,
they have but they're international, so
Okay.
they kind of cover all over the world. But I mean, they could kind of go back and forth and change their ideas, but we'll have a unified.
Yeah, it's not something I'm a part of, but it sounds awesome.
Yeah, they're great. They have a bi-annual publication called Growing Green International.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all organic publication.
Awesome. Hey, you know what? I guess this is getting out there a little bit more. I know it was just a couple of years ago, it seemed like you said veganic and nobody knew what it meant. So it's really awesome that it's growing so fast. Veganism too. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I am absolutely passionate about veganism. My son's last name is Vegan. I'm that passionate. Second,
Exactly, what is the criteria of people being able to install it and there's a cost?
it's actually very loose right now. The main criteria, obviously, is that it's a vegan entity. That's the main criteria. It's very new. This is a really new thing, so it's going to be something that grows and develops over time. Couple of things I do know right now is I really don't want to see people putting campaigns on there if they're less than $2,000. That's one criteria I'll have. So if you're looking to get funded for less than that, I would ask them to go somewhere else. I think that I would probably put some criteria in there also about not using anything that has to do with GMOs. I would think most people doing something with veganics, with vegan starter would lean away from GMOs anyway, but I would like to have that criteria in there. As far as like the durations of the campaigns, right now you can put on a forever campaign, or you can do a limited campaign, however you prefer to do it. That may change in the future. I want to see kind of how it works and see what benefits veganism the best. You know.
What is allowed in organic what can be used in organic now and why we would want that?
Well, organic is using, I think I mentioned this, the manures, blood meal, bone meal, feather meal, ground up baby chicks. I've seen those videos. They wouldn't want to just throw those away, right? Let's put them in the soil, I think is what their idea is. If you in veganics, you'd be using plant biomass. Does that answer your question, Bob?
Yes.
Cool. And then I think she had another question about 269 Vegan and Viva Vegan Grocery. I think the best answer to that is just simply that I want to create a different model. I want to create something a little bit different than Viva Vegan Grocery, and give Isaac's my business partner in that venture, and just kind of give him the ability to do what he wants to do with that company. Anything else? Yeah, go ahead. Yes. Yes, plant biomass, mulching. I mean, you know this probably already. Compost teas. I mean, there's if you want to increase lime, use lime and dolomite. All these things are veganic. Promote the worms, the earthworm castings in the soil. Pretty much you probably are doing most of that anyway, as a backyard gardener. A lot of people would add manures. They really, if you have enough plant biomass there for all that, for the microbes and whatnot to break down, and the mycorrhiza to bring the roots and all that fun stuff, you're pretty okay with your organic garden, I think. Anybody else?
It's a young man over here.
Oh, hey.
I was wondering, maybe since you want to go over your all organic, non-GMO fruits and vegetables, maybe you could, I was wondering, maybe you could encourage other children to grow their own garden in the backyard. Maybe, I don't know, that's maybe a resource that you know.
That has been awesome, I think. I would encourage, even though I own grocery stores, I would encourage everybody to put a garden in their backyard, even if it's 1 foot by 1 foot. And if you're 3 years old or you're 100 years old, I think that's the greatest thing we can be doing is growing our own food in a little area. So, yes, I would.
And maybe just some ideas I had about, because we do know how we're in a drought, and like we need to conserve all the water we can conserve. There's some organic ways that we can convert our soil and our water. One way is that for our soil is that there's a compost pile where you get some soil, you get all the peels from bananas, apples, apples you want to eat, any nutrition, and you put earthworms in the compost pile. And with earthworms, the feces is key nutrient for soil, and it's healthy for the soil. That's one way you can have rich soil without having fertilizers.
You're right.
As far as for the water, there's this technique where each time it rains, you put a bucket of water outside, and each time it rains, that bucket is
I think some people refer to that as catchment.
Yes.
Yeah, water catchment.
And conserve that water that was raining. And that big help of drought because we do. The sun is dehydrated, and that can help our drought, so that will help us out of water.
You're right. Those are all awesome ideas. Another thing that really helps with retaining water is mulching. If you have a garden and you mulch it, it helps the water stay within the soil. It also protects that biology, those worms, those earthworm castings you're talking about, and all the biology within the soil. It helps protect that. So if you put a mulch on the top of your soil, your plants, that also helps with that a lot too. It retains water, so you use less water. A lot less, actually. Hey, everybody.
Speaking of compost and saving our soil, I've been looking for a place where I can bring the compost that I accumulate from produce clippings. I looked at my partner in the backyard, so I really want to know where I can bring that.
That is a good idea. You know what, I'll talk to Alan about that, maybe he'll have a solution for that. Maybe we can bring it back to the might be possible. Talk to him about it. There's another farmer I haven't met yet that's out in Riverside too. So I'll talk to them about that also. We should communicate about that more.
Maybe your store could start having a compost collection.
That would be cool. I wonder how that would fly though. Or if we'd end up with flies everywhere. I don't know. That's a cool idea though. I like it. You'd have to have a drop-off day and have it picked up the same day. Otherwise nobody would want to be a customer that way. All right. Anybody else?
You
Well, I don't know, until they kick me off of here, I'm here. I'm yours.
Since you are on the retail front, can you talk to us who may be in the business about some of the trends that you currently see in your stores and maybe some trends that we will probably start seeing in the year two?
Boy, I want to create those trends. I don't want to follow them, you know? I think what we need to do in this industry, we all need to support vegan businesses, but I think a great trend is to not only be vegan, but to take the highest road we possibly can. Like I was saying about aluminum, eliminating aluminum beverages. I mean, that's just one step. Promoting and taking veganic over organic, and organic over GMO, and GMO over conventional. Those are trends that I'd like to see, and those are trends that those are things that I intend to implement. Is that, okay, good. All right. Anybody else? Yeah.
I had only heard of veganic gardening for the first time maybe 2 months ago. I'd never even heard the term. And I just think it's fabulous. I think it's a great concept that I think it's totally the future. Where I live now is basically a gravel pit, and I have 2 rescue workers. I have been composting their manure with the intention of building my soil, and now I'm really torn. What should I do with this organic horse manure that I have versus the organic or the veganic gardening which I need?
That is a difficult one. Geez. And you have horses that live with you, you say? 2 of them? Rescue horses, yeah. It's, that one's difficult. I honestly don't have an answer to that. I can look into it, but I mean, you can resort back to, obviously you can just not use that manure and let it be where it's at, or move it elsewhere. But to build that soil, you're going to use plant biomass. You're going to compost. You're right to create that soil in another way without using those manures. The manure, though, we think of that as being an answer, but it really, even if you compost that manure down enough, you're not giving the parasiticides to your horses, to the horses that live with you, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. I would venture to say that it would be less harmful, but you still are adding, by adding those manures, you're adding a lot of nitrogen into the soil. And really, I think it depends how much you compost it down, but it could affect the biological processes that you're trying to create in your soil. There's oxidization of manures if they're not composted enough when you're using manures. It's a hard question to answer, though, when you ask, what do I do with all this manure? That's a hard one.
Especially when I have no soil. Like I say, I live on a gravel pit, so I'm trying to build soil out of nothing.
Yeah, you'd be building that from plant biomass. Yeah. I have read some about this, and I know it's possible. I know it's possible to get soil out of that. Off the top of my head, I'm just an old country boy. I don't know exactly everything about everything, but I would say that you start with composting, and if the manures ended up in there, it wouldn't be veganic, and I think that it wouldn't be the best for the soil biology. But I don't have an answer of what you can do with those manures. Sorry. Anybody else? All right, I think it's a wrap up. Oh, hey.
So you're saying that you want to change people who you want to change. You don't want any more GMOs in our food production. What about for the kids or for the adults who want to become vegetarians? In your store, that it would be a good idea. I would say, just top of my head, a good idea. Maybe you could put a little flyer to like steps to become a vegetarian. You know, like.
Absolutely. I think that's the key to everything, is education, right? Everybody needs to learn, and that's what these stores are about too, is making it possible for people to learn everything that they need to know about living a vegan lifestyle.
Because tried to go vegan, but and then it's the meat, when they smell meat, their taste buds were like really isolate. And then they just break whatever they're trying to do for like how long.
I agree with you. I think it's important for those people to learn why they're vegan, because more you learn about veganism, the more you go that direction, the more you learn the benefits of it. You don't smell meat and think I want to go eat that. So it's a learning process. It takes time, but it is valid though what you're saying, that we need to educate everybody on veganism, and stores are a great place to be doing that. All right. Am I kicked off the stage yet? All right. Next.
What are the current economics between veganomics, organic, and conventional? What's the situation now?
I think that if you're going from organic to veganic, it takes some time to build that soil. So I think you're going to see that your yields will decrease initially. But I think they'll then as you build that soil, they'll get better. I guess that's a simple answer to that question. Anybody else? Oh, hi.
You said you're GMO over conventional. What is that?
Well, certified non-GMO obviously would if you have certified non-GMO, it would be conventional, then isn't using GMOs, right? Whereas conventional would be using GMOs. Anybody else? Oh, hi.
Hi, do you know where your vegan steaks are going to be?
I think I know exactly where it's going to be. I'm in leases right now on it. It looks like it's going to be on the west side of San Fernando Valley. Yeah. Anything else? All right, I think I'm done then.